There's a couple of things that come to mind. I think a lot of it comes down to like setting a perspective. That's at least from my opinion. This is of course can be, super objectively seen as, it's all about just setting colors and mood and balancing and all that, and then a look. Sure, that's partly what it is, but in my eyes as a filmmaker and director, what I care about is telling the story. And what I'm gonna tell a colorist is that it has to be a certain way because of the story, because of an ambition to tell a story in a certain way. So it doesn't really matter how technical the colorist is. I don't fucking care if I'm a director. Then you will tell this story in the perspective that we're going for. And I think you have to understand that as a colorist, that is the intent. A director that is good doesn't go into a color suite thinking that we should make things pretty. That's just like bullshit all over. You should go into grading suite with an ambition to kind of get a story across, and that's what it's all about. All the steps of filmmaking is about telling a story, but essentially colors and grading is such a strong tool to get there. So setting a perspective, creating that with a grade, whatever that is, you create that with styling, you create it with light, all those things as well. And that's also something that kind of impacts the color grading totally. Camera movement and all those things. But then what you need to do as a colorist is basically to create a style and mood that emphasizes the story. And that can be, randomly pretty much anything. But it is something that you need to kind of decide on, like what is the perspective and intent here? What do we want to create? And then it also comes down to what is possible from the material. Depending on the camera, depending on the situation, like production team, how lit was it? Is it possible to do stuff, or was it not lit at all? So that dictates, is everything underexposed? Those things dictate too. To me, it's all about creating a consistent perspective, like a consistent look that carries the story. And that can translate over to like color harmony, for instance, which is an important part of it, if that's what you're kind of aiming for. For instance, this grading suite, it's lit as like, okay, so there's like a cyan color coming there. And then you have like a pretty much 5,500 Kelvin coming this way. So that means that even though this isn't warm, but in comparison to the background, it's gonna feel warm. So those things are also part of the grade, like thinking about like the color harmony. How do you make a face pop by using orange here and colder background, for instance? It's about emphasizing emotions, making the viewer feel even more. It's also about making the film cinematic. Grading is probably the key thing to make a film cinematic. If you don't grade, it will probably not look cinematic, however you do. Like that is one of the key things. But it's not like you can grade and then everything is cinematic. Cinematic in documentary is, funny enough, like the fly on the wall aesthetics. Everybody that makes documentaries or everybody is probably not true. Everybody that's experienced and has some kind of background within documentary that's a bit deeper than making some videos, they see the cinematic aspect of documentary is not. It's not about the aesthetics. It's about the narrative. So how you approach a subject, how you let things unfold by themselves, because that's what the film language is. Like letting things just unfold, letting the words not be spoken and tell the story, letting the images, the audio, the acting, the characters, whatever it is, the locations, the grading, all those things are what's supposed to tell the story. So that's, to me, cinematic. And I think a lot of people get that wrong. They don't understand really that cinematic is not slow motion shots and some moody music. And I think a lot of people that are, you know, very schooled, or they have that thought of thinking that's kind of playing by the book type of thing, and not the most creative mind, more like the technical type of mind. They have a hard time understanding that grading is not the perfection. That's not what it's all about. Like, the most boring music that I see is the most overproduced stuff. That's super technical. It's perfect in terms of like musically. That doesn't mean that it's good. That doesn't mean that it's something that will, you know, touch me emotionally. That's what grading is all about too. It's creating a perspective that touches you emotionally, emphasizes emotions, and that in a case to tell a story. And I think a lot of people miss that in, you know, all that nerdiness and getting all too technical about it. That's not what it's about, not for me at least. And I think if you bought this course, you probably are onto the same type of wavelength, hopefully. So that's basically what I think grading is. I don't know what you think. But you can always, you know, comment on our videos or send us, you know, a DM or something if you have any questions. But either way, we should continue the course.